And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. So you know this is one of those statements which say, your intent may be X, your desires may be Y, the world may be moving in a certain direction, but trust that it will work, and set your intention to do the best you can. Now, we haven't gotten to holy yet, have we? We've gotten to where we're reducing the amount of consternation, but we haven't necessarily gotten to holy. Now, to get to holy, I think what we really have to do is focus here, because the depth of who you are is love, it is peace, and it is joy. I mean, it's hard to do holy if you're too busy doing this, if you haven't gotten your intentions correct, if you haven't learned to trust, if you're not transforming who you are by dying daily to your personal things, then it's very hard for you to be in the holy state. But if you have done this, you still haven't gotten to holy, because holy is when you surrender who you are, yes, and you find who you are. I want to thank you, choir. I just want to say thank you not only for today, this morning, but also for the whole year that you've been singing and lifting us up. I know this is your last Sunday before a long break. They'll come back at the end of the summer. But you make an incredible difference when you're here. And before I begin really talking about the subject of the day, I just want to say yesterday was a big day. Many of you were here because there were 46 people in, what's the title of your? Sister Saturday, right? And 46 people. And last month there was 36 people. And so at this rate, we'll just skip Sunday on... But that wasn't all. After that was in the morning, and then in the afternoon, Michael had his class on karma, and I think there were a lot of scared people in there because it was 54 people in there for a class, and you know, we haven't had that in quite a long time. I'm really impressed with our team of ministers here. They give their best to us. And before I forget, you know, we're going to be tag teaming in a couple of Saturdays. If you haven't signed up for that, your karma is going downhill. So today I want to talk about being holy in a holy way. I was asked to write a talk or do a talk on basically that song, and so here it is. One of the things that has been proven in my life that I think has really held me back is that I've been inconsistent. And part of it is being really clear about my purpose, or being really clear about what is the continuous action that could be called praying constantly, as they recommend in the Bible, pray without ceasing. What could be that action that mindset or that prayer or mantra or whatever? And I do believe what I'm going to say may apply to some of you, but not to all of you. And so you may have a different path to getting there. But almost all traditions say if you're consistent, if you hang in there, if you do it day after day after day, at some point the pearl will arise in your wisdom, in your sense of peace, in your ability to love, in your true recognition of who you really are. And while you may have glimpses of it, and for many of us, when we have a glimpse, we go, I did it. And then we're back to normal, right? And normal then becomes what it was that we were trying to escape when we wanted to go, I did it. So one of the thoughts that I think might be instructive for us is, can we not see that true depth and awakening is possible to us, that realizing our innate nature, which is love and happiness and peace, through the practice of continuous action, of prayer or meditation or mantra or kindness or love, whatever is our path, That if we could come to realize that that really is our innate nature, and we're not just getting a glimpse of a different type of ourselves, but we're actually getting a glimpse of our true self. And that coming to the depth or the repetitive experience of that will at some point become our baseline. We will become that. We were already that. It's just that the covering will be stripped away. And we won't have the barnacles on our being that we have right now. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do. Now, I have some quotes from the Bible, so you know this is a red letter day. Many of the quotes from the New Testament about how to live that I got off the website was largely from Paul, the Apostle Paul, instructing people how to live. And one of the things he was known for saying is this: I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh, I have lived by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave me himself. I would like you to consider this deeply. That one of the things he's asking or saying he did, and later on ask us to do, is to die daily. And to what are we dying daily? We're dying daily to our preciousness, in my opinion. What I want, what I think I need to be happy, how I am special, how precious I am as a body, how singular I am in my identity, how I am separate from God, how I am the one that I'm only looking out for, to die to that. And when we die to that, what we get is a closer sense of what it is that we really are. I want to talk about this in a greater context, so I keep coming back to this greater context. Forgive me if I'm boring you and if it doesn't make sense. But I believe that there's a bifurcation that happens in our realization when we shift our attention from only being on the world and only thinking that's important to realizing our true nature, who we really are. And it's really like there are two eyes. When someone says something to you, you could say, who's doing this? And you could say, I'm doing this, I'm the guy who's did this, I'm the creator, I'm the one, I. And one of the problems when you're in that state is like my mother used to say about one of her friends, her eyes are too close together. On the other side, you could say, who's doing this? And there's this deep and profound peace, this stillness, in which the only answer is I am or I, again, but it is not that I. It is a separate I. So the word, the name I, can go in either direction. And when we bring our attention toward this I, we come progressively toward that still place in which we are still as a bunny on the inside. We don't move on the inside. There is a holy quiet that's happening. And then the world out here, whirling, moving, changing, highs, lows, happy, sad, pleasant, unpleasant, grief, joy. All this is happening out here. But on this side, there is not boredom exactly, but there is stillness. And there's this sense that when you're over here, when you've answered who's doing this, you go here, you feel that the Christ within is doing the work. You've heard that phrase. It is not I who do the work. Jesus is reported to have said this. It is the Christ within that does the work. How wild the difference between this, where I struggle, I work, I plan, I'm addicted to where knowing how the outcome will be. You know, great wisdom says, do what you're going to do, but do not expect to control the outcome. The outcome is the outcome. The world is bigger than you are. All that will happen will happen. The classic line out of the East is you have intention, you draw back the bow, you shoot. That's all you can do. From then on, if the wind catches it, or a bird flies in the way, or the target moves, that's none of your business. You've done what you were to do. So there is a sense of releasing and letting it go. It is especially easy to do that when it is not I, but the Christ within that does the work. Let's let that sink in for a minute. We have to be active in the world. We have to do. You have to eat and sleep and find a way to the bathroom and all that. You have to do that. But when it becomes all you are, and when you need to control that, you're leaving behind this understanding that it is not you but the Christ that does the work. You're leaving behind your true nature, because now you have been drawn into the world. And one of the phrases that comes out of the Bible is be ye in the world, but not of it. Be different than the world. The world will continue as it is. How many people are apoplectic about so many things in the world that the idea of being at peace and happy, about being loving in all directions, seems like it is so far from their current experience because they need to control the outcome. I never was a parent, but I must say one of the more difficult things to do is to give it your very best and release the outcome. Right? Because they're going to do what they're going to do. And the harder you try, sometimes the worse it gets. Right? And children, when you're now the parent of your parents, don't you find that you're learning the same lesson? You tell your parents how to act and they don't listen. You cannot control. You can guide, lead, and support, but you cannot control. And so it is with our deeper understanding that if we need for it to be your way, pardon me from last week, if it needed to be your way in the outcome, you're going to find that you can't do it. But more importantly, you're walking away from trust. You're walking away from the trust that is another component of this. The trust, the quote I'd like to give you from the Bible on trust is this. Trust, it's coming. Look at the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you of not more value than they? How many of us worry about a lot of things? How many of us are caught in the pattern of worrying about money? Some of us who are beyond money are still worrying about money. Some of us who never were good at money are worried about money, and some of us who have no money are worried about money. It seems to be universal. Everybody has this worry, like they need to control it. Perhaps we should be like birds and trust. And so then, if you can trust, if you can have your intent and let your intent do its work, we can follow these words from the Bible. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. So you know this is one of those statements which say your intent may be X, your desires may be Y, The world may be moving in a certain direction, but trust. Trust that it will work, and set your intention to do the best you can. Now, we haven't gotten to holy yet, have we? We've gotten to where we're reducing the amount of consternation, but we haven't necessarily gotten to holy. Now, to get to holy, I think what we really have to do is focus here. Because the depth of who you are is love, it is peace, and it is joy. I mean, it's hard to do holy if you're too busy doing this, if you haven't gotten your intentions correct, if you haven't learned to trust, if you're not transforming who you are by dying daily to your personal things, then it's very hard for you to be in the holy state. But if you have done this, you still haven't gotten to holy, because holy is when you surrender who you are, yes, and you find who you are. You find their depth of nature. You know, Ramana Maharshi is considered one of the great lights of India that died in 1950. One of the things he said is that one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they think they are evil or weak. They are neither. They have habits. If you release the habits, you begin to study that you are, as he would say, you are that presence. You are the presence of God right here. You are that presence. So let's think about how to do that. I want to give you an image. I gave it to my class on Thursday. I want to give you an image that seemed to work for them on Thursday. Consider the space of the universe with nothing in it, which is pretty close to true. There's a lot of space. But just consider the space of the universe with nothing in it. And then consider that same space filled with consciousness. Filled with consciousness. The whole of the universe filled with consciousness. And while it is universal, the consciousness is everywhere, make a box and try, and it will be the only thing in the universe, make a box and contain some of it. Now, when it comes to the space, is the space still, is it separate, or is it just walls? Let's assume for this conversation that it is not separate, but walls around the same space it always was. You take the walls down, the space never moves, it's the same space. Put walls up. Now take it, the same metaphor for consciousness. We as human beings have a body and we have a mind. And those are the four walls that we consider ourselves to be. And the consciousness, which was universal and spacious and open and trans everything, beyond everything. That when that consciousness has the walls of the body and the mind, it begins to identify and say, I'm in this space. It's not really true, just as it's not really true that the space disappeared. It just feels like it to us. It feels like this is what I am. I'm this body, I'm this mind. And because it is felt like that for a long time, and I don't believe babies feel like that. If you've ever looked at them, they don't really feel like that. They don't even know they raised their hand and for a little while. It's just like one big wonder. But when we get used to it, and we have been told that we also have a name, and therefore we have a history, and we have a story, and we have past, and we have a karma, and we have all that stuff. We have all this that we have that is confining us, and we feel our limitations are the most clear thing we know. We can't, we aren't. It has those. But if you were to somehow not identify with the walls, but the space or the consciousness that you are, then you begin to return in awareness towards your true nature, which was always the same space of the universe and the same consciousness of the universe. At this point, you're beginning to, when you begin to disidentify with the body and the mind and all your history and story and yada, 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 when you disidentify with that, you begin to have the experience of stillness. And in that stillness, you recognize your true nature. Because the body wants this, and the mind wants this, and the habits have story that bind us in a repetitive experience ad infinitum. But the wise one looks to the stillness, to the awakening by remembering, not by creating, who you really are. And by remembering who you really are, then the world shifts, because now you are free. And freedom and happiness and joy and love are not something you have to manufacture. You don't have to find one thing out here to make that happen, because you recognize that the reason you were wanting it in the first place was you had an echoey memory of that, and you wanted more. You wanted to return to it, and you had that memory. You wanted to come back here, but you've forgotten how, because you became of the world. You were just this. Your thoughts, your actions, your clinging and your aversions, all your habits were over here, and you've forgotten who you really are. But when you get still, that noise goes away. And in the stillness, as it would say in the Bible, God was not in the clamor, not in the wind, not in the thunder, not in the earthquake, but in the stillness was God. And so your practice of meditation is one way to get there. One way to get there. Before we finish today, I'm going to give you one more. But let it be known that your true nature is waiting for your recognition, not your creation. For it was here before the walls. So let me give you a cute way to do this. I want you to keep your eyes open. I want you to keep your eyes open, and I want you, unfortunately, most of you are looking at me, but I want you just to look and notice and see the wall and the piano and the steps over here and the flowers or whatever you see. I want you to open your eyes and see that, like we normally do. We see stuff. And now I want you to notice that you're seeing. And now I would like you to notice the one, the self with a capital S, that is seeing. It's seeing. And now let's go back to our normal in the world seeing. And see the wall, or see whatever you're seeing at this time. See it just like, oh yeah, there it is. Then notice that you're seeing. And notice the one asks the question, who's seeing this? Who's doing? Who is the seer? Who's the witness? Go back to the witness, the one behind, the one that is looking out through you. And leave that now. And go forward and into the world. And see the world as you normally see the world. With your eyes open, you see the world. And then notice that you're seeing the world. And then come back and look for the one who is seeing. Just turn your attention, turn your awareness toward consciousness. Turn your awareness towards consciousness. let's pause our experiment. I would like to say, I don't know if you could feel it this time, but when you look out in the normal way and are in the world in the normal way, there's a buzz inside your head, there's conversation, there's next thingness. But then when you look for the one who's looking, you're beginning to return your attention toward the self with a capital S. And in that comes the stillness. Now, a way to pray without ceasing is to rest in the awareness of the self. And so if we can develop this practice where with some regularity during the day, you're both seeing and being the one seeing, I believe you'll answer the question, how to pray without ceasing. For then, when you rest in the being instead of the doer, when you rest in the witness instead of the active one, when you rest in God instead of the world, then the world will take its place and unfold as it does. And you will unfold as peace, love, and happiness. Let us pray. Sometimes when we look for the quiet, we try to find it through the mind. And the mind chatters away with constant suggestions. Perhaps we should leave it behind and begin this journey by feeling into the heart. And when the energy is slid away from your head down into your heart, you can ask this question, who's being? Who is the being that's being here? Who's seeing? Who's feeling? Who's knowing? Who's experiencing? And drop into that still place. Drop into the place of I am. And let that, through repetition and continuously asking, be who you are. We can still be in the world, but we won't be of it. We can still intend, and we can still release, and we can still have successes and experience losses. But we do it from the still place and not completely caught up in the world. And so it is. Amen. I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.